Okay, welcome back. This time we are doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on NES, by special request by my pal Mike, and because Mike requested it, I am going to play as Michelangelo. And this game was in my original NES library when I was a kid, so this was a great game to pop in and play with friends. This is not a deathless run, nor is it a speed run. But we should be able to finish this game without too many problems. We'll probably have to use continues. And get used to that special attack. We're going to be using it a lot. And this is a game that really hasn't aged all that well. Like in the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game on NES, you know, it's difficult, but it does offer some variety. It is a action platformer. And then the third game, the Manhattan Project, which my pal Rockin' Cat Reviews beat on his channel. That one had some interesting villains like Ground Chug, Dirtbag, Toka, Razar. It also had some interesting levels, and each turtle had their own unique special attack that you couldn't spam, so it was also a lot more challenging. Now, this game is obviously a watered-down port of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, which came out in 1989. And in my opinion, it was really a quantum leap in coin-op arcade games. You know, we went from being used to, you know, coin-op arcade games like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Paperboy. All of a sudden, now we have something really fantastic, like, you know, I think Final Fight also came out the same year, but the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game by Konami, when that came out in late 1989, it was, you know, really stunning. It came out right when the Turtles were at fever pitch, and I remember the first time I saw it, like, there was a crowd of kids gathered around it. You know, just couldn't believe that it was almost like they were playing the cartoon. It was fantastic. And this obviously doesn't look anywhere near as good. It was the best they could do at the time. When Turtles in Time came out on Super Nintendo, we got something a little more, something that resembled the arcade game quite a bit more closely. All in all, Konami did a really great job in the early 90s, in the late 80s, not just with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but also with The Simpsons, X-Men, Aliens. All of those games looked great. Alright, I am admittedly very rusty, so I'm gonna do my best. I'd like to be able to beat Rocksteady without losing a life, but no guarantees. Classic Konami fashion, they are blinking. lets you know that the villain is close to death. Just getting back to The Simpsons and X-Men. I know I said that I'd be doing those games soon. Unfortunately... Oh good, we beat him without losing a life. I'm having some issues, some technical issues with my Xbox 360, so it's going to be a while. I do have a workaround, but I'm not going to be able to do The Simpsons or X-Men for a while. And for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fanatics, there is a little bit of interesting news on the horizon, especially if you're nostalgic about games like, you know, the old classic beat-em-up style. They've done a ton of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games of, you know, varying styles since the arcade game. I'm just gonna have to waste it. Like they did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters, and then there was a ton of like 3D style beat 'em ups. I'm not sure what you call them, games like Battle Nexus or whatever. None of them have been received as well as the original, you know, arcade style of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games, like you know, Turtles in Time and the original arcade game. So what they're doing, I think that it's called Shredder's Revenge. The announcement just came out, but basically they're returning to this classic beat-em-up style. It's like they ran out of ideas, and so they decided we'll just go back to what works. I'm not sure if it's 150 or 250 points where I'll get an extra life. Get the bonus point. And I guess I'll just waste that pizza. Now, one topic that comes up from time to time is... Gotta watch out for those boomerangs, by the way. They'll come back and hit you. But why weren't great games like The Simpsons or X-Men ported to the Super Nintendo? Because they were extremely popular arcade games. Ninja Turtles was, of course, ported to the NES, and Turtles in Time was ported, of course. Some of that has to do with licensing issues or royalties or things like that. The systems were certainly capable of handling it. You're going to see a few... I think I missed one of the Pizza Hut promos earlier in the burning apartment level, but there's another one right there. There's going to be a few more of those Pizza Hut product placements. Pizza Hut, by the way, I think it's disgusting, personally. But the Super Nintendo certainly could have handled The Simpsons or X-Men. They would have had to stretch it out a little bit, though. The levels... Excuse me, if you've played The Simpsons or X-Men, they're kind of short games. You know, they were quarter munchers, certainly, but they probably would have had to pad it out a little bit, which is what they did with this game. The Central Park level and the Shogun Dojo levels are created specifically just for this game. And no secrets with this game. The whole point is just to do as well as you can in the first few levels. have enough lives and continues left to just kind of plow through the game. Oh, he knocked me. That's a hole-in-one. He knocked me right in the manhole. Yeah, Bebop, in my opinion, one of the toughest bosses in this game. And yes, I am fighting him like a coward. I was really hoping to be able to beat Bebop without losing a life, but I don't think it's gonna happen. He's got my number. And that's one life. Alright, might as well just spam him. Wish I didn't have to waste a life, but it happens. And if you are a fan of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, before, of course, you know, the actual arcade game, not this watered-down port on the NES. Let's see. I think I can spam some points. Okay, not gonna be able to do it here. But the good news is, and this is one I was really surprised by, Arcade 1-Up releasing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade cabinet that you can build yourself for a few $100. Saw it at Walmart a couple years ago, and very cool. Not for me personally. $300 is kind of a lot to spend on a video game, but if I didn't mention earlier, I am playing on my NES HDMI, the Kevtris. Taking a break from the NES Mini for a little while. We'll get back to it. Also released, or they're planning to release later on this year, the X-Men, a 4-player arcade 1-Up cabinet. So, I mean, all that really leaves is The Simpsons, which I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do that, you know, because of, again, licensing issues, things like that. But that one would be very cool. Now, the one that I'm holding out for personally is the WrestleFest, which was a coin-op arcade game that I absolutely loved back in the day. As a kid, I was a big fan of the old Coliseum home videos and WWF. Spent a lot of quarters on WrestleFest. It'd be, ideally, they would do a arcade cabinet that is both WWF Superstars and WrestleFest on the same cabinet. So, we'll see. Still holding out for that. If I do buy one of those arcade 1-Up cabinets, that's going to be the one. Okay, here's where I can spam a few extra points by breaking the missiles. And we're getting close to 200, so we should be able to pick up an extra life. I guess I'm still talking about X-Men and The Simpsons, you know, the ones that I have on my Xbox 360 that I would really love to do. They are saved onto a Xbox 360 hard drive back from when I downloaded them. They were briefly available on the Xbox 360 Live Store back in, I think, 2013. I just got an extra life, by the way. And I, purchased and downloaded them, and they were only available for a few months. Now, before that, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game had briefly been available on the Xbox 360 Live Store. Unfortunately, I missed it. It was gone by the time I even found out it was available for download, so I didn't get that one. And the only way I was able to play it, and this is going to sound really strange, but if anyone remembers the PS2 game, Battle Nexus, this is a really easy boss, by the way. But it was a really bad Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that came out on the PlayStation 2. I can't remember when, maybe 2005 or something like that. There was a unlockable bonus that had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. Not a perfect arcade port. First off, you had to play through like 80% of the game to be able to unlock it, and the game was awful. So, I did pick it up used from a GameStop years and years ago, and I remember I, immediately jumped online, looked for a walkthrough, and I played it, or unlocked it so I could play it, and I was so disappointed because all of the music and voiceovers were gone. It was the same repetitive theme throughout the whole game. Okay, and this is one of the levels they added in the game, Central Park. And I think it's a pretty cool level. So when I play games like The Simpsons or X-Men, I always wonder, what levels would they have added to pad out the game? For The Simpsons, I think they would have made the nuclear power plant a level instead of just a boss fight. There's your other Pizza Hut promo, by the way. I can't remember if there's a pizza in this level. I hope there is. goodness, these snowmen are annihilating me. Kind of impossible to talk about this game without bringing up what a great game Turtles in Time was. You know, what can you say about Turtles in Time? Just a fantastic idea, you know, having the turtles, you know, travel through time, and you got some great level design. Okay, this boss, not too tough. In fact, I think there's kind of a rhythm you can get him into. And I'm not sure if he's a polar bear. I always thought he was a dog. That's the rhythm. Okay, very nicely done, able to beat this level without losing a life. And this, one of my favorite parts of the game. It's funny because I live in New England and the snow is melting, so, you know, this is the first thing that pops into my head. Alright, this level, quite a bit tougher than the snowy Central Park level. And I can never remember which cars are the ones that fly out at you. That red one will fly out at me. False alarm. And unfortunately, I really don't have that much to say about the Ninja Turtles cartoon. It was great, but I can remember getting tired of it pretty quickly. I remember a few years ago, I picked up the, I started picking up the DVDs, and the first season, which is only like 5 episodes, it was really good. That was one, I can remember even when the show was in syndication, that was one that came on pretty often. They used to rerun. These are the worst. The ones with the weapons. I think they're a little easier in the NES port, but in the arcade, these guys are a pain in the neck. But I think that was part of why the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade cabinet was so outstanding, so great. You know, not only did it come out when, you know, in the very late 1980s, when there really, you know, visually there were no other arcade games that looked like it, except for maybe Final Fight, or I can't remember if Aliens was out by that point. But visually, it looked great. It looked like you were playing the cartoon. But also, you know, the Turtles were at their fever pitch, and, you know, the first season was really good. The show had a lot of promise. It got pretty silly pretty quickly after that. But those first 5 episodes are great. Like, personally, I like, even though I hate the Neutrino characters, the episode Hot Rodding Teenagers from Dimension X, that is a fantastic episode. There's lots of, you know, visually it's really fun to watch. Just a really interesting episode. Highly recommend that one. Alright, and the good news, we did not struggle at all with this level. This level in the arcade is actually very tough. And coming up, the boss battle is going to be Baxter Stockman. In the arcade, it's Fly version of Baxter Stockman. But in the arcade, it was Bebop and Rocksteady. But I guess they had a hard time programming, you know, 2 boss characters or whatever. Next is the factory stage, which might be a little bit tougher. The Shogun Dojo, probably the toughest level in the game. And as I see April O'Neil in the background struggling, I'm wondering to myself, you know, my pal Andy, the vintage gamer, do something with that, make a meme with that. Been doing great with those April O'Neil memes. And no risk of dying, so I'm gonna take the pizza here. And anyone curious about all those Pizza Hut promos, I think every retro gamer pretty much knows. Yeah, there's your meme, Andy. But every retro gamer, I think, pretty much knows that this game originally came packaged with like a coupon for a personal pan pizza. Okay, we are on our way to 400 points, which is great. I don't know if we'll be able to get 600. Getting 600 points would get us an extra life. Which would be really helpful because you don't want to rack up too many points before getting a game over. If you get a game over, you want it to be close to a multiple of 200 points. That way, with your next continue, you've got a shot at racking up an extra life. And it's all coming back to me. Haven't played this game in years, but like I said, owned it as a kid. You know, this was, if you had a friend overnight, this was probably a game they wanted to play. Not one of the better, I don't know, it's hard for me to say that this is one of the best two-player beat-em-ups on the NES. Beat-em-ups on the NES really didn't transfer that well. There's only a couple that I think are worth even talking about. Double Dragon 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, and maybe Double Dragon and Battletoads, the Ultimate Team? Even though I prefer the Super Nintendo version. And that's kind of a rare and expensive game. I think that one came out pretty late in the NES life cycle. Alright, let these guys get rid of their weapons first. And here you can rack up points. We're not going to bother. We'll take out one. Another extra life. And I guess since we're on the topic of beat-em-ups, let's go ahead and just talk about our favorite beat-em-ups. A lot of them are on Super Nintendo, and I won't really get a chance to play them. So, in no particular order, love the, obviously, I like the actual arcade cabinet of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Simpsons, X-Men. A couple that I never got around to playing, but I always thought looked really great were Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, and Alien vs. Predator, and Super Ninja Baseball Batman. This level, by the way, a lot harder in the arcade than this. This is pretty easy. I should also mention that the controls in this game are pretty simplified. There were the jump attack. You did have that long-range jump attack that I use occasionally. But you also had a couple other jump attacks that they didn't bother to put in this game. Raphael, I think, also had like a slide attack. But other beat-em-ups, really like Knights of the Round and King of Dragons, which are technically considered hack and slashes. But if they're hack and slashes, so are the Ninja Turtles games. You know, just because you use weapons. Obviously, I like Streets of Rage 1 and 2 a lot. Super Double Dragon 4. Another great one that I love. Kind of a guilty pleasure. Alright, this is the factory level. This is probably where I'll start doing poorly. This is a tough level. My thoughts are, if I can make it past the Shogun Dojo without using a continue, I should be okay. As popular as this game was, you know, it was incredibly popular when it came out on the NES. Surprisingly, it is actually the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that sold more copies and was even named Game of the Year in, I believe it was either 1988 or 1989. I think it was 1988. The 1988 issue of Nintendo Power, where they gave out like you know, game awards. This game won Game of the Year in Nintendo Power. Or excuse me, the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game won Game of the Year in Nintendo Power. Pretty surprising, because I would have assumed that they were in the business of awarding, you know, those awards to the games that they produced, like, you know, the Zelda games, which, to be fair, those games did win the awards too. But this game sold well, or excuse me, the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game sold well over 1 million copies. You know, everyone played it. It was really hard. Watching my pal Rockin' Cat Reviews beat it. I've only beaten it once. It's a very tough game. Another one that surprises you, or surprised me at least, was, I think it was in 1991, Battletoads on NES was awarded Game of the Year by Nintendo Power Magazine. These guys, I think a lot harder, again, a lot harder in the arcade than on the NES. And I'm pretty sure there's pizza at the end of the level, which I'm gonna want to save it for the boss, which is either Granitor or General Trag. And because of the way I'm holding the controller, my fingers are really starting to hurt right about now, just because I'm spamming this special move over and over. Okay, we're gonna save that pizza for if our life starts running low against Granitor. There is a rhythm to this guy. This one I do remember. I can take one more hit, maybe. As long as I don't get hit with that flame burst. Let's go ahead and take that pizza now. I guess the bosses are getting a little tougher. See if we can lure him a little closer to the center of the screen. Okay, finally he's blinking, so... Okay, this brings us to the Shogun Dojo. I'm not sure what this stage is called. It's this is the hardest stage of the game in my opinion, and this is, of course, one that was not in the arcade, added to kind of pad out the game. We'll see how well I do on this one. I'd like to be able to... I think I will hit 600 points and get the extra life. One thing I always kind of thought this game could have used was some kind of special weapon. Like, I always loved how in the first one you can get, you know, like shurikens, boomerangs. And I know everyone calls it the scroll weapon, but I believe it's actually called the kiai. Not sure what a kiai is, but the instruction manual for the first one listed the scroll weapon as the kiai. Those extra weapons in the first one really, you know, gave it a lot of variety. The part of this level that I'm probably going to struggle with, and I know it's coming up, used to kick my butt all the time as a kid, was the part with the tigers coming up. There's, yep, the bamboo spikes. Here's the part with the tiger. Nothing has changed. I still stink at fighting these guys. Oh well, at least I'll be getting an extra life. So, it all evens out. And I'm gonna have to be a little bit careful on the Shogun boss. I'd like to beat him without losing any more lives. Yeah, this game, quite a bit easier than the Manhattan Project. I guess since I mentioned that this game was part of my original NES library of games that I owned when I was a kid, it might be kind of fun to talk about the games that I did own. So, again, in no particular order, I had the Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt game. I had Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 3, Mega Man 3. I had a Zapper game called To the Earth, which was ridiculously hard. I don't think I ever made it past the first couple levels. Let's see. I had Iron Sword, the second Wizard and Warriors game. I had WWF Steel Cage Challenge, WWF WrestleMania. Alright, let's see if we can beat the Shogun Dojo without losing any lives. Pretty cool looking boss. And let's get that pizza. Okay, home stretch, the Technodrome. Got a bit of a boss gauntlet because we'll have to fight General Trag, Krang, and Shredder all in a row. And I think I'll be okay with General Trag, but Krang, I believe, has always given me a problem. I don't think it's possible for us to hit 800 points, so when we come up on those ice sprayers, we're not going to bother trying to destroy them for extra points. Ah, why not? No trick here, you just want to beat these guys before they have a chance to really move around and start attacking. And I would love to do Turtles in Time, either the actual arcade or the Super Nintendo version. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to do it. I have the cartridge on Super Nintendo, but I do not have a HDMI modded Super Nintendo, so don't count on seeing that one anytime soon. And very disappointingly, despite being one of the most popular and memorable games on the Super Nintendo, Turtles in Time was omitted from the SNES Mini library. Probably the one people complain about the most. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's possible to hit 800 points in this game. I think there's a pizza on the elevator. We're going to be careful and leave it there. Oh no, no pizza. Maybe it's at the end of the elevator. Wherever it is, we're going to be sure not to get it until the absolute last minute. I do love this stage. I love the look and feel of it. There's the pizza, but it looks... Obviously, it looks better in the arcade. I guess I can just kind of take a beating on these guys. Yep, now I ought to take it. And one of those great memories of playing this game with friends is always arguing or getting mad at each other because one of you took the pizza when the other one needed it. Mike, I'm glad you didn't ask me to play the Manhattan Project, because I'm not that good at that game. I like it a lot better than this game, but it's a lot longer and a lot more challenging. here is General Trag. And this is going to be another boring boss fight. And I think he is also pretty tough compared to, you know, some of the earlier bosses. And we just want to be careful not to walk into that electric force field on the door. And as long as we can beat him without losing a life, I believe our life bar will be refilled for the Krang fight. Now coming up, this fight I've never been good at, so we're just going to try and make it through this battle without losing too many lives. I think as long as we have one life left for Shredder, we should be okay. My shell, quite literally. Having a hard time getting in rhythm with this fight. Maybe I have to be a little bit quicker. Okay. Let's see if we can finish him off. Okay, and I know there's a trick to beating Shredder. You know, you knock one helmet off of each of the first two Shredders. Unfortunately, I'm not that good, so we'll just be beating him the way we know how. And as long as we don't lose a life to the mutagen ray, we should be okay. Right now I should focus on, well, too late. can't remember how many Shredder clones there are. Maybe 4 or 5. This might be the last one. I hope it is. And I guess I didn't mention the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toys. I mean, again, what are you going to say about them? They are... Everybody remembers them. Everybody had them growing up. My playmates. They sure made a lot of them. I remember that much, at least. I didn't read the comics, but if you dig around on YouTube, you may find... I'm not going to bother posting it in the link, but you may find an old Cinemassacre video back when they made quality videos, where they reviewed all the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics, and they did a really great job. Alright, so we finished with 780 points. Still have 1 life left, so a pretty good run, considering how incredibly rusty I am at this game. Mike, I hope you're happy. Enjoy the ending. This game does have quite the ending. It's going to take forever for that blimp to slowly inch across to the end of the screen. So start to finish, looks like it took just a little bit over an hour. And, you know, this is a game that I've beaten many times as a kid with friends, so very nostalgic for this game, even though, like I said, in hindsight, this is one that really hasn't aged well. It's actually the weakest of the trilogy, just because it's so vanilla. You know, and of course, even I can't forget that feeling of, you know, after seeing it in the arcade in all its glory and then getting a copy of this game for Christmas and being excited and popping it in and playing it and realizing that it's nowhere close to the quality of the arcade game, but it was the best it could have been at the time. You know, it's just kind of funny because you look at the arcade game and everything is big and bright and detailed, and then you look at the sprites, like the Ninja Turtle sprites in this game, they're tiny. You get the game over screen even when you win. Okay, so that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on NES. 780 points. Didn't have to use a continue. Quite a nostalgic trip. So, thanks for checking it out. And we will see you sometime soon.